We have to listen to the whole thing? I don't think so.
Why not?
Okay.
You don't want to listen to the whole thing?
No, but I've heard, I now know, unfortunately.
Said the Giants fan. I don't want to listen to that anymore.
Sivel Group, Real Estate and Ramblings, episode 19, A Visit to the Shore with Jack Vizzard.
Woohoo!
Hey, everybody. You're in for a treat today. Not only do we have a special guest, but you'll also get into a glimpse into what I've been experiencing for over a month here at the Sivel Group.
Lucky you.
Something I'm sure many of you in your households and your workplaces have experiencing, but it's literally been all things Eagles all day, every day, for a month straight. Michael Sivel isn't just a diehard Eagles fan. He attended every playoff game, and lucky him, was at the Super Bowl.
Blow the whistle.
While we were all working. So get ready, as I'm sure he's going to make us relive the excitement of the Eagles' journey one last time. I hope. I hope it's one last time. Starting with today's music selection, Michael. Go ahead. Regale us all with why we're listening to the Eagles' fight song for the 1000th time.
Is it the 1000th? It feels like the millionth. Fly, Eagles fly. Well, you know, we flew all the way to, well, I didn't fly. I drove. All the way to New Orleans, and we kicked the tar out of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was epic.
Worth every bit, worth the trip, worth all of it.
Well, I mean, I could do a whole podcast on
driving to New Orleans,
the playoff run, turning 50. Super Bowl was actually on my dad's 1-year anniversary of his passing. So it kind of set this all up. That, you know, at dinner, I told B, like, hey, Eagles are looking pretty good this year. This is in December. I'm like, hey, Birds are looking pretty good this year. Like, I'm going to go to New Orleans if they make it to the Super Bowl.
Which I'm sure nobody believes.
No, I mean, it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And then my boy, Andy Kaplan, shout out to Andy.
I think Andy gets a shout out almost every podcast. I wonder if he's one of the few that listen.
He actually does get a shout out
almost everyone, but go ahead.
And so Andy called before the playoffs, and he's like, I'm going to put you down for one each game. Hopefully the chips fall properly and we'll get an NFC championship game at home. Well, of course they did. And I started to line up people that my normal road trip folks for going down, taking the Sprinter.
And you couldn't sucker anybody else into that drive.
I couldn't. But then as people dropped off, I'm like, you know what? Like, this is going to be pretty cool just to be on the road by myself. No schedule, no itinerary. Jeff Nixon, we always have an itinerary when we go on the road. And just do it. Didn't have a ticket. Didn't have a place to stay. My friend Nicole Wetta didn't rent her house, or a garden apartment because down there you rent your house out for Jazz Fest, Mardi Gras. And people typically have like a garden apartment or an ADU in the back that when they rent out their house, they spend the weekend or whatever in their garden apartment. Mm-hmm. So she calls, she's like, we didn't rent our house, garden apartment's yours. So I had a place near Tulane. Stopped in Tuscaloosa on the way, saw Brooks Norpel. Shout out to Brooksy. Had great barbecue, and then was in New Orleans Friday midday. And didn't land my ticket until Saturday night. Kind of didn't do all the Super Bowl stuff, you know. Did the fan experience only to get the gear for the kids, but did my usual, like, James Beard people dinners. Hit my favorite bar, the Maple Leaf, Friday night. Hit Tipatina Saturday night.
Listen to some good music.
Good music, good food.
And then good football.
And then went in early. And it was evident.
Yeah, tell everybody, you watched warm-ups.
I like to.
And you were texting everybody. You texted me and you said that you thought.
Night and day.
You thought the Eagles warm-up was
night and
day to the Chiefs warm-up, which was interesting to hear.
In my elevated age, I like to get in early, not deal with the crush of security, which leads to watching warm-up, which has become something I like to do. Especially the Eagles warm-up this year was just the togetherness of that team, it was amazing. I mean, it's from the interactions of the D linemen to the offensive linemen, the running backs, and you know what? The quarterback. And when they came out on the field for warm-ups of that Super Bowl, their energy level was like off the freaking charts. Jalen Hurts sprinted down the field to our end zone like a freaking madman, all the way back. He does his little like jig. I don't even know who he was dancing with. It might have been Cooper DeJean. Like,
and then the Chiefs just kind of wandered in.
The Chiefs came out like, you know, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to win that football game. Like that all they had to do was come down and get their trophy. And like, well, we all know what happened because they got smoked.
Yeah. So we have Jack Vizzard here today. And before I introduce Jack, who is a lifelong New Jersey Shore guy, I'm sure since he got to regale us, I'm sure you're an Eagles fan. What were you doing for the Super Bowl?
Thank you for having me, first of all.
Thanks for coming.
It's exciting to be down here or up here, Chestnut Hill. But just had the family, you know, my two boys, my daughter,
all
my wife,
Eagles fans?
All Eagles fans, but it's exciting to see them. And there's like life lessons there about, because they play a lot of sports, and you can't assume anything. And anybody can win on any given day.
Yeah.
And so all these, even at the pro level, it seems like, you know, still lessons to be learned. But it was great. It was really, really fun as a Philadelphia fan to just dominate, you know. Usually it's a nail biter.
Did you bring them up for the parade?
I did not. Had to go to school Friday.
Crazy Michael Sivel made sure we all went to the parade.
I mean, well, you know, so I did a victory lap on Tuesday before I went and embarrassed the girls at the bus stop with the sprinter, with the flags.
On the
with
way
music,
back.
all of it. I did a victory lap around Lincoln Financial, around City Hall, Art Museum. And when I got off 76 at 23rd Street, I noticed this stretch of parking that was like perfect. So we went down Thursday, parked a car, and then swapped it out with the Sprinter Thursday night.
Smart.
Then Ubered down to the Sprinter. So the Sprinter was a block off of the parade. The girls were off school. I don't know why, but they were already off school. So I took the 6 and 9-year-old down the parade, but we had like base of operations that was 100 yards from them.
So our team members were meeting us there. It was fun. It definitely, even for a non-Eagles fan, it was fun.
Worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
That's
awesome. You know, I couldn't think of a better way to spend that weekend and week. But
so anyway, that was Michael Sivel's last time to relive all things Eagle in the Super Bowl because we're working now.
Last time?
That was it.
I mean, I will probably be talking about
okay.
this Super Bowl forever.
Okay.
I mean, I'm already planning. I think I'm going to ship.
I heard all
I think I'm going to
it.
ship the Sprinter to San Francisco.
Okay.
So the Sprinter is there. I don't think I can make that drive as quickly as Louisiana. So I'm going to ship the Sprinter right after the NFC Championship game and have it in San Francisco, fly out, and then we'll have the Sprinter for...
Anyway, Jack Vizzard's here.
All right, so...
And for those of you guys who may not know his name, Jack and his family, Jack's one of 9, by the way.
Damn.
We'll get to that. They've been deeply rooted in real estate at the Jersey Shore for generations. He's the go-to expert for all things real estate in Avalon, Stone Harbor, Sea Isle, and the Wildwoods. But beyond real estate, which this was all interesting info that I got on him, he's really embraced shore life in every way. He lifeguarded at the beach, competed in rowing, and even for all of you guys out there, worked at the Princeton. So if you don't know his name yet, you certainly should, not only because he may have saved your butt when you were trying to learn to surf at the Jersey Shore, but more than likely he sold you a beer when you probably were underage.
Absolutely, that was me.
So you would need to know Jack Vizzard when you're going down to the shore, and he is mine and Michael's go-to as far as bouncing anything shore real estate off of somebody.
Yeah.
Jack's our first call, so welcome.
We've also done deals with Jack.
We have.
So thanks for making the trek up here.
Happy to do it. It's fun.
We're happy to have you. We've also, I think, very happy to have gotten to know you better over the past couple of years. I mean, we knew who you were, saw you at convention, we saw you at the award stuff when the Jersey Peeps come up to Philly, Botanical Garden and all that stuff. So we've interacted, but I think 3 years ago we started, some referrals, which have turned out really well. You've been a huge help, especially as of late, with older clients of ours that are now making Avalon kind of their base of operations and selling things up here. Some of those that, DocuSign is not their favorite. And you've opened your office and have, you and your team have been really welcoming and helpful for them to come in, sign paperwork, scan it back. It's been really nice to have that support from a team of professionals for some of our clients that, like that one-on-one versus the phone and email and the impersonality of kind of what our business can be at times.
Well, and I also think with the way we handle our clients, finding somebody that has the level of customer service and puts their clients first the way we do was huge for us. And so having someone we knew that we could refer clients to that we knew would be handled the way we handle our clients, and the service you and your wife and your whole team provide is just awesome. And to find somebody like that at the shore, I think was huge. So Michael, you're going to start off.
Well, so keeping on the football.
Oh no!
I want to.
I was trying.
Diving back in.
I was trying, Jack.
Diving back into football a little bit.
Real estate. Go ahead.
We always have said, Jennifer, that our spring market here starts on Super Bowl Sunday, right?
Except I say when the Eagles.
Except when the Eagles are in the playoffs, and then everything's
they distract
a little
everything.
The parade, all that stuff. But I guess my first question is like, when's the market? Is it a spring market? Is it a summer market? Is it a fall market? Like, when do things kick off for you for 2025 down the shore?
So there's business all year,
okay.
But the big energy is just after Super Bowl for us too. And the calendar is funny. It can really work to your advantage. And as a tool, after Super Bowl, there's nothing to look forward to really that's more exciting than summer. All your best memories, most of the time, are in the summer, from your youth, from your family times, family pictures. They're all centered around the beach usually. So that the calendar says it's 4 months away, less than that, 3.5 months till summer. So
your phone starts ringing similar to ours right around that time.
Yeah, a little bit before you have your early birds, but then the bolus of people will start now. It just every weekend, just multiple appointments, and it's exciting because there is a little bit of a time. They want to be in for summer.
Interesting.
So, and you handle not only high-end sales and sales in general in Avalon, Stone Harbor, Seattle. Do you go into Wildwood?
We do.
You do.
Yeah.
You hit
all
that.
County. Yeah.
But the one thing that I noticed, like, we do some rentals here in Chestnut Hill for a family's portfolio. But when we were at your office last, the amount of keys on the one wall was like crazy.
It's a big rental operation.
So like, I mean, you don't have to give it, but like you're also doing seasonal rentals. When do people lock that in?
It's funny because you have, again, your early birds, your big bolus of people, and then your late Louis, we call them. So some people just get done 2 weeks and they say, sign me up for next year.
Right.
And that's great. Then the majority of people, there's a smattering of people in the fall. And then after Christmas, again, they look at that calendar and say, we better get on it. We better book our summer vacation. So then the calls start in January, and now they're really starting to come in. So
mostly like 2 weeks at a pop or full summer?
It's mostly weeks.
Weeks.
And it's funny because the inventory has been shrinking over the years. It's getting smaller and smaller because
the rental inventory?
Yeah. Back in the old days, back in the 80s and whatnot.
How about that we're of that age where we all say that? It's pretty scary.
But
before the internet,
the strategy of a realtor down the shore it was a challenge to afford. But you know what? You can rent 10 weeks and enjoy 2 for yourself. Do that for 15 to 20 years. And then as the majority of the house is paid off, you enjoy it. And that worked. And that's what people did. So there was plenty of inventory. Now, the island has become somewhat elite. The demographic is more successful, it seems, and more financially healed. And so they're buying with no intention of renting. And so that rental pool has gone down. Each year it goes down 2 to 3%.
Wow.
Over 10 years, that's, 20%.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're all using it. They're all using their houses,
using
or
it, or they
families
don't
using
need
the
to rent,
houses. Yeah,
right? There's,
and they just don't want to go through that hassle.
right. So the inventory's gotten lower, and so it's a challenge to find the right place.
And have you been seeing more and more full-time residents at the shore, or not as much?
COVID, there was a lot of curiosity, and people could live anywhere, work anywhere, and so they came down and said, we're just going to live here. And that was great for about a year and a half. But then the reality of living at the shore full time is it is a ghost town, and it is bitter cold in January, February, March. And the reason it's bitter cold, it's intuitive, but the ocean becomes extremely cold and stays cold until mid-June. So that just makes the air, it can be 40 degrees offshore, but it's 30 on the island.
Wow.
And that wears on you.
Yeah.
Like that winter, instead of being 3 months up here, it's 4 or 5 months down there. It's just cold and wet, and it gets in your bones.
Interesting.
So it's not for everybody. To live there full time is not for everybody.
During the off season, is a lot of your life off island? Like
That's a good question. There's not much going on.
Yeah, you guys are on the island.
There's 3 restaurants, but my children are our focus, and they're involved heavily in sports. And I say to my wife, if we weren't involved in all these sports activities,
you'd be out of there
it'd
soon.
be very limited life. But there's other places to venture to. Like Cape May is a full-time 12-month town with really great restaurants and sights to see, very historical. So we'll go down there. Or Atlantic City's 30 minutes away, and there's shows.
There's some good restaurants there too.
Good restaurants,
Yeah.
but, shows like entertainment. There's some decent acts that come.
Oh,
to
interesting.
Yeah, Widespread Paddock was just there for the weekend.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I missed it.
I was going to say, how did you not?
Well,
there's only
Eagles
so much you
Parade.
could
I
put
was
in.
recovering from the Super Bowl. 23 hours in the van. Finally caught up with me.
Especially at your age.
I know. My elevated age.
Your
Jennifer.
elevated age.
So COVID had a big impact
It
on
did.
things down there as well.
It did. A lot of folks moved in, and a lot of folks. It became almost like critical to get out of your domicile in your primary home and get somewhere nice where they wanted you outside, they wanted you fresh air, sunlight. That was all we were told in the beginning. No better place to be than the summer. So like we literally were, and you couldn't do open houses. So we were doing walkthroughs via phone, FaceTime, showing houses. And most folks have vacationed there for 10, 15, 20 years. So they know the island. And it wasn't too difficult to FaceTime, show a house, and then they made a move because there were so many people also making moves. So it was a really busy and fun market to be in.
I watched from the sidelines from afar the Avalon market. We used to rent when I was a kid down there, but then when I went to high school, some of my friends' parents had houses down there. The folks that you recently helped out with, they lived down there. So I spent a fair amount of time during the summers down there. And then as I got into real estate, I would follow the real estate. And it seems like what used to be 2 is you could get in at 2 is now 4. And
We're talking million.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be clear.
And 4 seems to be like a normal kind of number, and you go up from there.
Right.
And then 20 and 25 aren't out of the conversation either down there.
Right.
And is that on, now you're talking to all due respect, a non-short grower. I don't know what I'm talking about. I grew up in Connecticut, New York.
Told you.
I'm a Cape Codder. But anyway, these numbers you're getting and these numbers you're seeing, are we seeing them on the Bay side and the ocean side?
Yeah, Bay and ocean. So number 1 is oceanfront. I think it always will be. Number 2, most coveted is Bayfront. Bayfront after Sandy took a little bit of a hurting for 3 or 4 years. And it's kind of like we've forgotten all about Sandy. It has come back with a vengeance, and it is a close number 2 to oceanfront.
Some of those sunsets
They're gorgeous.
On the Bay side?
Oh my God.
And the houses are big. The lots, sometimes like specifically in the Fingers in Avalon, the lots are bigger. So they might be 60 by 150. So you could easily build a
putting a pool
7,000
in.
foot house.
And are you putting a pool in
Big
sometimes?
pool,
Yeah.
multiple lifts, so,
Yeah.
it's quite a large.
Multiple lifts, you're talking boats.
Yes.
Not, see, and not what we're used to with the lifts
I got it.
for your Porsche or Ferrari.
Right. Or your boat.
Yeah, your boat.
I mean, I'd be water skiing on the bay, so I'm fully aware of what
Here
that
we
is.
go.
Jack,
Yes.
question. Are we still seeing most people, so talking about me not knowing the shore coming from where I grew up, are we seeing that more and more people do know the Jersey Shore and they're coming from other areas besides just the greater Philadelphia area? And is that why we're seeing prices go up? Or are we seeing prices go up just from a pure high demand from the greater Philadelphia area?
So a couple questions in there, and it's you guys are accurate. Things have, I as a rule of thumb, you can almost say things doubled prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 is 4, 4 is 8.
Yep.
But the most popular price point, to your question earlier, is most popular is probably 4.5 to 5.5. Where you get a 6-bedroom house, 6-bath, new construction, and you're probably 2 blocks from the beach. But the demographic is kind of the same. Majority of the folks come from the main line. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably the largest population.
Mm-hmm.
Since Sandy, a lot of New Yorkers were displaced, and they came down, not a ton, but maybe 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And they're typically very well heeled,
Right.
and they like the nicer things in life. So they're oceanfront and bayfront, and they're kind of more visible. But the demographic has really, it has become an elite town. I've been there my whole life.
Right.
I was a little kid selling papers outside of church, and it was more of a regular community.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has become so elite that a lot of people value privacy. They don't want to talk to the paper boy.
They don't want to talk to their neighbors.
But that's a good thing for real estate. It
Yeah.
keeps improving and becomes elite and hard to reach that pinnacle. But some people complain that they miss the regularity of town and regular folks who want
that
to
smaller town community feel.
Yeah, so it's great for real estate. It's great for demand because it keeps becoming more and more popular. So it's great from a real estate perspective. I think it's fun, but it's not what I grew up with.
And is there any town on the shore that still feels like that, or are we talking about that's pretty much happening from Cape May north?
I would say it's across the board. Any town would say that, but you still have a feel. It's still attainable to be in Ocean City and Cape May. Stone Harbor and Avalon have become almost unattainable. Yeah. And with higher interest rates, it's even more challenging. You have to come with cash.
I've had some friends buy in Brigantine.
Okay.
That were Avalon and Stone Harbor
before
people.
Okay.
Yeah, that are more my age, and they can't buy in at this point.
Right.
But they could still buy in at Brigantine.
Sure.
Brigantine for $800 $1 million.
Really?
And be close to the beach and put some money into it, and
you're 100% right.
Be down there.
So when you first got here, you were in our office, and we've talked to you a few times about this. Tell us about High Dunes, because that's a pretty neat property that we were talking to you about. It's a new construction. It's on the bay, correct?
It's on the ocean.
It's on the ocean.
So the High Dunes is kind of...
There can be dunes on the bay.
I'm just going to leave it there.
There are dunes on the bay.
There's a specific part of Avalon that's
or not. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. It's just a short stretch of land that has approximately 10 houses on it, and it goes from 44th Street to 58th Street. So that's each parcel is rather large for Avalon standards. We're talking like an acre.
And were things torn down to do this, or
no?
There's nothing there.
It's always had that, like, these were carved out to be like a special area, and the base flood elevation is very high. Again, relatively speaking. So the property we're building on now, I think the base flood is probably like 25 feet above sea level, where most homes are 10.
And do you know where Sandy got, to put it in perspective, if it was 25 feet?
I don't know the exact foot, but like we had in some spots 2 feet of water, in most spots 8 inches of water.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Not horrible, but Bayfront's got hit hard. That's what I meant.
Yep.
But this property's kind of a special. So it's 3/4 of an acre. It's the architect was Mark Asher, the builder is Joe Popper. It's going to be 7,200 square feet.
Wow, that's big.
It is massive and it is super tall. It'll be the tallest building on the island with spectacular views. You can wake up in the morning, see the sun rise from your bedroom, and then at night it has a wraparound 360 deck. You can see the sunset. You don't have to
That's
leave.
awesome.
That's rare. Like usually you see the sunrise on the ocean, or you
Right,
have
it's
to go
one
to
or
a
the
bayfront.
other, right?
This has both, and for 26 million, 26.5 million, it should be wowing. But it's built like no other property I've ever seen. Most properties are what we call stick built. It's mostly
Yes.
wood. This is mostly concrete, poured formed concrete.
Oh, wow. Poured concrete.
Yep. It took probably 8 months to do that, just to do the foundation and some of the first floor walls. So it's going up. It's beautiful. There's a ton of glass. It's very modern looking, kind of California looking feel to it. But it's going to be extremely private. So that's what some folks desire. And that's
Garages?
2-car garage, swimming pool, and the swimming pool is debatable off the master right now. A smaller pool.
A small, like a cocktail pool, like
Right.
a little dipping pool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be spectacular when it's done.
When can I move in?
June, probably late June.
And private beach?
Not a private beach, but that particular stretch, call it 14 blocks, almost no one's on. So it's virtually, there might be
Interesting.
one lifeguard stationed there, someone who did
But
something well.
not direct access. I got to go down to one of the pathways.
You go to one of the pathways, probably every 4 blocks is a street
Nice.
access point.
Nice.
But folks, typically when you can see, in my experience, when I sell ocean fronts, I ask them after a year or two, how often do you get to the beach? And the answer is almost always
They
once, twice.
Yeah.
We don't because we see it
Yeah,
right out our window.
right.
And so they're not down there like me with my umbrella and a
Cooler.
pail and shovel. They're just watching it off their deck. And,
Yeah.
and that's the price you pay for admission. And that's why you probably don't get out there. But it's a special spot and we're excited.
So 26 million. What's the largest?
6.5.
Excuse me, 26.5. What's the highest sale? Besides that being first sale, what was the highest closed sale in that greater area?
There
Was it anywhere near that?
There was 2 years ago, there was a piece of land bought by a woman. Both parcels went for 20 million. So she bought the first
Raw land.
ocean-
Unimproved?
unimproved. First lot, second lot back, and combined them to make one compound for 20 million.
Were you involved? Was it Marble House they took apart? Were you
Yes.
involved in that?
Yes, it was actually, so we sold it.
Was that Byberry?
Bayberry.
Bayberry.
We had.
Do you want to tell us all what that is that don't know?
So Bayberry was a street that
we can assume people listening
no,
may
that
not know.
we would drive down, and I think there were some very well-heeled, a few Philadelphians.
Yeah, actually, Ed McMahon was supposed to have lived there.
Yeah,
Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon.
Really?
so it was a street that you would go down, and there were
And
some
do what?
insane. Look at
Party?
the insane
Well, they're all
houses.
double lots,
Oh.
so they're very big houses. All
Mhm.
the power's underground. It's kind of an elite street. It's only 2 blocks long.
Mhm.
And this house was made entirely of marble. Everything
Really?
in it was marble, outside, inside, roof.
And who owned that house?
Probably shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was the twin to a mansion in Long Island, not Long Island, Rhode Island,
Okay.
and which was probably over 100 years old. So it was a miniature twin of that, and it was very difficult to sell. And so, in talking to the buyer, I had a friend who's an attorney and a very smart tax guy. He recommended taking it apart piece by piece and donating it to charity and get a tax write-off.
Where do you donate that much marble?
There's a company called, well, it's kind of interesting. It's a company out of Baltimore called Second Chance. And what they do is men get out of jail, want to learn a trade, and they need raw materials to practice and learn.
Fascinating.
And so there's a warehouse in Baltimore with wood, marble, sinks, glass, you name it. And so it's taken apart piece by piece, all this marble. Most houses are made of wood.
Yep.
And probably not that much value, but the marble. So it was over a $2 million write-off.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
And made the land probably more saleable once the marble house
what was that? The buyer did it.
Oh, the buyer did it.
The buyer
Gotcha.
did it.
So
It's-
bought it, disassembled the house.
Right. Had a nice talked with his accountant, and
Yep.
it was all legit. So it's kind of an interesting thing that happened, and everybody won. And now there's a beautiful house there sold in COVID for 10.4.
Nice.
Gotcha. And High Dunes, is this the first of a couple houses to be built there, or?
There will be a house going up probably I won't start for another year. Architecturals are slow. The DEP gets involved. The EPA wants to know what's going on up in those protected lands. So they probably won't start building for another year. That's the only other one in the
On
High
spec
Dunes.
or custom?
On spec.
On spec,
Both
wow.
of these properties will be spec properties.
That's amazing.
That's fun though.
It's exciting.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
Now
is.
now it's on you to sell it.
No problem.
Have you had any good showings?
We have several people interested. Unusual folks come from all different walks of life, but that's a big number for anybody. So it's interesting that it's a different process, I think, versus that kind of run of the mill, if you will, $4 million house.
Right. Are you seeing? We were talking a little bit about Avalon and Stone Harbor becoming a little unapproachable. Are there towns that are more trendy at the shore right now than others, and does that seem to fluctuate? Like, do you have younger renters and buyers looking in certain areas versus others, or?
There's a couple, I don't think any are as, the island's immaculate. It's so well taken care of. Every property's perfectly manicured. The only other ocean town that I think would come close, but it has a geographical problem, is Strathmere. Strathmere's affordable, but it floods rather easily.
And for those of us who don't know, where is that?
North.
In north?
There's two towns north. So there's Avalon, Sea Isle, and then Strathmere.
Okay.
Tiny little town, cute, adorable. Not many folks there, but it will flood.
There's a great wing night there.
Great wing night at the Deauville.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
spent many a wing night with Chris Fallon belly up to the bar.
There's another pocket, but it's not on the ocean, of Cape May County that had a pretty good run, and I don't know if it's going to continue with interest rates, but it's a place called the Villas, and it's on the bay side of the little peninsula down there. And when it first came out, it was mobbed with retired Philly police and retired Philly firefighters. And they got an affordable home with their pension. Somebody brilliant must have went in and approached that whole group.
Right.
They
all bought there.
Now those folks are aging out.
Right.
And so they're selling, and it's very affordable for younger people. So young, affordable, $500,000 to
Right.
$700,000.
Oh wow!
So
And what town is that technically?
it's called the Villas.
That's the town.
It's the name of the
name of the town.
They're trying to market it as Lower Cape May, Upper Cape May, but it's the Villas. But it's affordable. It's not the ocean. It's the bay. Really beautiful sunsets, like you'd see in Naples or something. It's gorgeous. And you're a short drive to Cape May.
Nice.
So that's probably the most affordable, I'd say.
Favorite shore restaurant? Are you gonna get in trouble?
Peter Shields.
Favorite shore bar?
Probably the old Touche. Now that's going back a little bit, but it's now the Reeds. But it was Touche, but that sunset there is gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite shore bar?
Stone Harbor.
Oh, I mean, I used to go to Jack's. Miss Jack's. How
Jack's
many
is
houses is
gone.
that now? Four?
That
Five?
was five houses. We sold that to a developer, and that was fun.
The girls and I are going back to the Reeds the week between school and camp at their request. They like it down there.
Of course they do. So, Jack, what's your advice to consumers either looking to rent or buy that are trying to just get their feet wet into the shore market? Let's say they've come off the high of the Eagles and are finally focusing on other things.
Right.
What would be your advice to them? Is it
Jack.
obviously contact you, but is it start to look online, or really the best thing to do is to call a realtor and to kind of get ensconced that way?
It's so competitive right now. I think you're right. You call your realtor. You can look online. You'll get an education. You'll get the real down and dirty. If you talk to someone, we live there. We live on the island,
Right.
And we do it all day. And you find out things living there that you wouldn't normally see posted online. So calling us, we might have an opportunity that might not be so obvious. But I'd recommend getting on the island, even if it's entry level, and then you can navigate from there where geographically you like, and then usually your situation changes in life, career maybe get better,
Right.
maybe there's an inheritance, and then maybe you set yourself up for that next purchase. Do a 1031, roll that profit into the next property, and then
Roll that into high dunes, El Toro. Sunrise, sunset.
I love it.
Beach views and everything.
Hell
Just
yeah.
a cool
Let's go.
26.5 million. Well, Jack, it's been so fun having
Thank
you. And everybody, we hope this podcast has not only been informative, but on a day like today, that's very, very brutally cold in February in Philadelphia, we hope we've given you a chance to daydream about your summer warmer days at the shore. Definitely call Jack Vizzard. He's got the intel on all things shore real estate and rentals and purchases. And start planning early for your summer down the shore. Right, Jack?
Any topics of concern, questions, don't forget, you can still email Jason at jason.williams@foxroach.com. Shout out to Jason. Hope you're doing well there with the Lenfest people. And thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more Ramblings from the Sivel Group. Woo-hoo.